Hey, well, welcome everybody. So this is our second teacher chat for Insert Learning. And tonight we're talking about Appsmashing to boost your students' engagement and literacy. So I've got a little bit of a technical issue there. I'm still figuring out the whole YouTube live thing. Okay, all right. So if you've got questions or anything you want to add, like you've got your own tools that you like to embed or questions about Insert Learning, anything new, go ahead and put them in the chat of YouTube Live. You should have the link to there because we're watching on right now, I think. And then also, if you want to join, go ahead and send us a message. You can just put it as a comment right there, or if you received one of our emails, you can just reply to the email. I'll get that, and then we'll invite you and bring you onto the show. Next week, we're going to have our first scheduled guest teacher, and I think Karen's going to be joining us in a little bit here. But I'm going to start off. There's a new feature that kind of a new feature that we rolled out this week. So I'm going to start off by showing that. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right. And so this is something that we've been talking a lot with teachers and getting kind of some feedback on things that's going to help Insert Learning be easier for them to kind of figure out for their first couple of lessons. And one of the things is that we added in this plus button way back a long time ago, and it didn't always function like we wanted. So we ended up making a pretty big change to it now when you click on plus, so the idea is that you want to add a lesson, click on there, and we just kind of show you the two different ways you can create a lesson. So we got a little GIF there showing of how to click and load the extension on any web page, or just simply use the new integrated content search engine that we have, so you can then just quickly find whatever it is that you're looking for your students. So we added that in there, and I'm trying to think of, I think there were some other things that we added this week, but it's tough to keep track sometimes. All right, well, so the apps that we're going to be talking about today. So we got our Appsmashing for student engagement and literacy. I've got a lot of apps that we're going to try and go through without overwhelming everybody, because I want to show off some of the lessons too that I've done these on. But a few of them, these are kind of like the ones that we're going to be focusing on. You can look at a full list of all the tools that we've tested with Insert Learning by going over to the Insert Learning dashboard. And when you click on resources and then tools to embed, it's going to give you a full list of the 60+ different tools that you can embed into your Insert Learning lessons. And really, it's a whole range of different things that you can do with them. But the ones that we're going to talk about tonight are Quizlet, EdPuzzle, ClipIt, Sketchfab, Desmos, CodeBender, BioDigitalHuman, Google Forms and Slides is always really popular, Ziteboard, YouTube, and Flipgrid. I'm going to start off by kind of showing off kind of a student engagement interactive one I'm going to kind of show of how I've done this in one of my lessons. So this is one of my favorite lessons that I talk about, because this was one of my aha moments of, even though I'm one of the creators of Insert Learning, of just kind of really discovering what this really meant for me as a teacher. And this was from a lesson where we talked about the physics of color and color mixing, and so how you create colors with different colors of light and mixing them and things like that. But then we mixed in some code and some circuits and some LEDs and stuff, and it was really fun. But I originally had this as a big presentation, and it was teacher-centered. It was me in front of the room lecturing, and things didn't always go as planned. And so what I quickly discovered was hey, now with Insert Learning, I'd use this page to teach myself about color theory. And I kind of realized that, hey, I can take this page and have this be the lesson. So instead of having this presentation that was always clunky and never accomplished what I wanted, I brought students onto this page. So the way I did this is I started off with simply a little quiz. This was kind of building off of something that we'd already talked about in class. So there's multiple choice quiz. This is something of where with this lesson, I had the students build this circuit, and then that's what they used for their coding. I used to always just kind of do this as a demo, but I discovered that someone else had already made it on YouTube. And so all I had to do was just simply find that YouTube video, and then I just shared that with my students. It was awesome. So now the students can watch that, right? So my students are going through this completely independent. I'm walking around the room helping them. I added in a YouTube video. And then for the code aspect, there's this really neat website called CodeBender, and it's codebender.cc. And if you do anything with Arduino or microcontrollers or coding, you got to check this site out. It's great. But so I used CodeBender, and what I did was I actually embedded the code within the site. And so they would plug in their circuit boards into here, the little microcontrollers, and they could actually then run that code. And they can even click on edit and make little changes in the code and then upload that to the microcontroller again. And what was so great is that this is all contained. And so now as they're kind of reading through, I kind of embedded a few different things. And so that I embedded a couple different sketches, these codes, in the actual text. And they all went along with what they were reading about how it is that you start blending these colors. So you have your primary colors, and if you mix your primary colors, you can get your secondary colors. And they could actually see that by changing the code. But it's so cool because now it's all in the text, and it used to be this like me lecturing, and it was just kind of a mess. So this is kind of like one of my big like aha moments with Appsmashing, was kind of growing this. And it was kind of neat too because, right, I mean, this is a website that was just about color, but now this is like the building block for my lesson on color and physics, and it was really cool. All right. So that was one of the ones I was really excited about, was CodeBender and then YouTube. So we're going to kind of move back a little bit here and look at a couple of different lessons that we can do. And so for this, let's see, we're going to go with an OpenStax book. So we're going to have as our basis. So the first one we're going to be looking at tonight, that we're going to be adding in, is Quizlet. If you've never heard of Quizlet before, it is quizzes, as the name would imply. And it's great because there's a whole collection of sets. There's like hundreds of thousands probably, that teachers and students have created. They do have the free version, and then they've got like a paid one, which, I mean, gotta love their pricing, because their pricing is about around $40, same as InsertLearning. So they kind of get like the teacher budget. And so whenever you find a set, they've got a couple of different options. And so that's what's really neat, is that when you create a set, you have all these different options. So it's not just of like a regular quiz. You can then take the same thing of word and definition, and they've got different activities for it. And one of their newest ones that they just released was diagrams. And so here's one of their muscle diagram ones. And so I'm going to do, and then down here are these, and you can copy these and then modify them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this into one of, should have set this up ahead of time here, into OpenStax. They've got these open source textbooks, which are really great. They've got great content, but they can be a little bit dry. But with InsertLearning, you're solving that problem for them. So I'm going to bring in some interactivity now with InsertLearning. So I'm going to head over to one of those. So while it's loading, what you do, once you find the one that you want, or you've created one, you click on this little ellipse, and you go down to Embed. And this is where there's a lot of different options now of what kind of mode you want to embed in there. So you can do the match, learn, test, flashcards, or spell. So I'm going to do the flashcards one. Gives you a little iframe code right there. I'm going to click on copy. And now when I head back over to I will go to carbohydrates. Then what I'll do is, so I'll load InsertLearning on here. And I'm going to add in a sticky note now. So let's click on the sticky note tool. I click on the paragraph where I want to insert it after. And then I'm just going to paste the embed code right there. Computer's going a little slow here. There we go. And now it's embedded in there. So now the students can go through, they can kind of cycle through. And as they're kind of going through, you can choose different ones as well, different modes. So if you did like the test one, then it's going to be kind of testing as they kind of go along. And let's see here for the where was the How do I embed the diagram one? We'll take a look at that later if we got some time. All right, so we're going to move on. So that's Quizlet. I know that Karen Hogan loves using this. And what Karen will do is she'll take her vocabulary and she likes to front load it, or preload, front load, I forget the term, at the beginning of her lesson, so that then she's exposing the students to all these vocabulary words right away at the beginning. They can practice those and then move on. And once you've got it in there, students can switch through here as well. So they could then switch of like, okay, well, I want to do the learn mode instead. And then it kind of keeps them in the same spot. And so it's kind of like a really neat option of like being able to kind of go through. So students have a lot of flexibility in there. You're setting it up for them, and then they can take it where they want to. All right, so our next one is going to be EdPuzzle. Now, this is one of the most popular ones that I always like to show off. One day, yeah, here we go. And so EdPuzzle, if you're not familiar with it, it's video. It's kind of like, some people would say the InsertLearning is like EdPuzzle, but for text. We think of EdPuzzle as like it's InsertLearning for videos. But what it does is it lets you break up videos with questions in it. And there's a lot of EdPuzzles that are already out there that other teachers have created. So here's one on Shakespeare. And so as it goes along, when it gets to a question, it's going to pause the video, and then the question is going to pop up there. So we're going to embed this into our lesson now. So we click on, I should do that again here. Click, open this up, click on Assign and Share. I'm going to set this one so that I can share it with anyone. And I'm going to just copy this code. So it's this iframe embed code right there. I'm going to copy that. And heading over here, I'm going to add in a sticky note, paste it right there, and then I'm just going to paste in that embed code. So this is going to load the EdPuzzle video with all the questions right there for the students. When it gets to a question, it pauses the video, the question pops up, and then they continue. A lot of teachers like to use EdPuzzle because then they can track, did the students watch it and where they got to. Now, for myself, I don't really use the questions that are in here. I kind of think of them as those are there for the students to help them understand the videos that are kind of going along. And then the actual assessment question that I'll have after the video is I'll add a question with InsertLearning after that one. So then I'll say from, or like after you finished the video. So something that's going to be related to that video. So, right, so this video has 5 questions already in it. I'll just simply ask one question that's based on the whole thing, and that one I'll actually kind of look at to make sure that students got what I wanted them to get out of that video. If there's any change that I need to do. ClipIt is going to be our other one. The video embedding option that we have in InsertLearning is pretty great. So for this one, I'm going to head over to a Tween Tribune article, and we're going to go with that one. All right. So ClipIt is audio recording. Because right now, with the sticky note, you can record video directly into your sticky note. But not everybody wants to do that, and it does kind of make the box a little bit bigger. So ClipIt, so it's clip, CLYP.IT, is a simple audio recording tool. So I'm just going to click on upload a clip, record. This is me recording my voice, and I'm going to go through and I'll read the whole article for my students. I'm just going to click on upload. And so it's very, as you can see, like, right, I didn't even have to sign up for ClipIt. If you want to save them and kind of like be able to like, find old ones that you created, then you'll need to create an account. But it's free. I'm just going to save that. Oh, okay. So the link expires. Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of new. So we will want to make sure that we save, that we sign in to save it. But so now what we're going to do is we are going to share, or not share, we're going to embed that ClipIt. So I'm going over here. I'm just going to paste that in. And now the students can listen to you reading that. This is something that students can do as well. I know some students don't like to use the video tool because they're worried about their face kind of being on there, and even if they face the camera up, they're not always comfortable with it. So ClipIt's a really nice alternative where they can record those things and add them in there as well. I've used ClipIt, where I literally read through kind of a college level physics article, just because it was a great article, but it was too difficult for some of my students. And so I created the whole lesson, and then I read through it and recorded that reading with ClipIt, and I kind of added in little extra notes, and I paused in the video then for my students as well. You know, the whole thing took me probably about 10 minutes to like read through the article with the questions and stuff like that. But it really made a big difference for my students to be able to go through. You could also break the text up with multiple recordings. All right, so then Sketchfab is one of the other really cool ones that I think not a lot of people know about. So I'm gonna head over to, and I had kind of like a Shakespeare thing, and I was gonna find a good article, but then I ran out of time here. But Sketchfab, it's a repository of 3D models, and these aren't so much for 3D printing, it's more of like the art or the visuals of 3D models. It is really cool because there's some very realistic scientific models that'll be on there. There's lots of artistic ones, but they've got a whole collection of like artifacts, of actual artifacts that have been scanned in really high resolution and added on. So this is a model that someone else made, but it is kind of cool though, because students can then zoom in and kind of look at it. So if you're doing a lesson on Shakespeare, students can actually now zoom in and they can kind of look around the theater. They even have a virtual reality model or mode option. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to embed this into the article. So as we're kind of talking about Shakespeare and giving and what it'd be like in the Globe Theater, and for the play, you can kind of then refer back to some of these things, and students can then explore it right there within the text. So I'm going to click on embed to copy that code. You want to make sure it's the iframe one selected right there. Go down here, add in a new code, and paste that. And so now students can click on the play. It doesn't preload the models to help kind of reduce the whole video of the thing. And now students can go through. They kind of expand this. They can even switch to full screen, and then really be able to explore it more. Exit out full screen, and they're still in the article. So that's a really great thing with Sketchfab. All right, Desmos, I'm going to leave for a little bit later. We're going to keep going with kind of the biology theme that I had. So we had biology and Shakespeare, but BioDigitalHuman, it's just really, it's a full like interactive skeleton anatomy of a human. It's really neat because you can get really deep into individual layers. So you could have just the skull or something like that. So I've turned off all the layers except for the skeletal and connective tissue. And I want to embed this model in there. If you're going to be focusing just on like the arm muscles, you could have just the arm and embed that. So it's kind of cool. So once you select the model the way you want, click on embed. And then from here, you can make some customizations. So if you want the navigation on there or not, if you want annotations on there, if you want to give students different tools, they can kind of play around with on there. But I'm just now going to click on generate code. It's going to give me the iframe code there. So I'm going to copy that. And heading back over here, let's say if this was our biology lesson here, I'll just paste in that embed code. And then we'll let it load here. Because that one didn't load. Oh no. What happened here? Let's try this one more time. There we go. Must have done something weird the first time I pasted it. All right. Now, so this one takes a little bit longer to load because it's loading in a lot of individual models. So if you got a slower internet connection, then kind of scale back the model that you were going to use, or only add in one. But it's really cool because now students can zoom in, and it's still the fully interactive thing. So when you kind of think of just simply a static image or even just a video, I mean, this is a fully interactive model of the skull of the human body. So it's really cool, and I just love the fact that teachers can set this up to be exactly what they want it to be and then embed that in there. So again, if you're using OpenStax and you're using their biology textbooks, I mean, this is an amazing thing of like to go way beyond the pictures, and then you can ask questions that are dependent upon having this fully interactive 3D model. And you can kind of ask students kind of like look around what kind of bones are connected to which ones, hypothesize if like some of the different functions or the importance of different things, what would happen if this bone broke. Some really cool things you can then have students do. All right, so Google Forms and Slides, both of those are very popular ones that people ask about a lot. So what we'll do here is, do I have a slide that I could just show off here? Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and create a new slide real quick. But so a lot of people have embedded Google Forms and kind of different things, but there's a lot of things people have been doing with Google Forms for quizzes. Because I know you can add a Google Form into a Google site, but trying to do other things can be difficult. Let's add another one. All right. Okay. So to embed your Google Slides, once you get your slide all done, obviously, then what we're going to do is publish to the web. We're going to click on this embed option, and it's going to publish it. And then after we've done that, it gives us this code. So I'll just copy that code and heading over to your text. Let's see. My computer is not running well here. Go to a different page. Then I'm going to add in the sticky note. I'll paste my link right there, my embed code, and there is our Google slide. Come on, computer. And so this is going to let you then of where, again, if you've got some really great presentations, but you want to move away from that teacher-centered model so that the students are kind of being exposed to more text, they're able to build up their reading skills, but you've got these really good presentations and there's a lot of value in those, you can still have students going through these things. So you can add those presentations in, you can have them kind of mixed within the text. You could break them around into individual slides. Make sure my computer's not scrolling there. And then you can still utilize all that stuff. It's another good way to be able to kind of like convey some of the story, depending upon what you're going to have. And so then students can go through and they can fully go through, you get the whole slides that are on there. The other thing then is the forms, right? So we're going to head back here and we are going to have our Google form. So I'm going to create a new form. And this is where something for Google Slides, it's just a huge deal. Let's see here. All right, so we've got our Google form. We're all done with that. If we're going to, where's the option for turning it into a quiz? Yes, if we want to turn it into a quiz, we can do that here too. So save that. All right, so now I'm going to send it. And again, so you can send it either, like, so they got these different options, but it's this rarely used iframe embed code. So I'm going to copy that chunk of code and heading back over here. My computer just doesn't want to scroll sometimes. Paste it right there. Now let's put it down here. All right. And paste that. And now we've got our Google form quiz. So the students can go through, they're going to submit it. Right? It was that simple. So you can do this in a Google Doc as well as any other page. So you can take those Google forms, even if you have them set up as quizzes, and then put those into the text. You can put in multiple ones and kind of select where you want to have those. You can have like a pre and a post test embedded directly within the text. All right, so we are getting down to the end here. We got a couple of really cool ones that we just didn't get to. We didn't get to Flipgrid. For YouTube, all you have to do is copy and paste the URL. Desmos is an awesome graphing tool. So let's see here. So y is equal to 3x plus 2. There we go. Let's say we want this graph. I'm going to click on that. We're going to embed this sucker. All right, so we're going to head back over here. We'll paste that. And here's what the really cool thing about Desmos. It's not just a copy and paste image of a graph. We have a fully interactive graph. So students can now sit there and they can kind of play around with this. So this is the cool part, right? So you can follow this up now with some questions, some discussions. You can have students go through and kind of create their own things. And you could even have them be like, hey, are we going to now, so you've learned about this concept, you read through here, we had some examples. Now you go over to Desmos, and then you're going to be creating some stuff, and you're going to be turning in a link to that graph that you've created. Some really neat things. And the last one we're just not going to be able to get to is called Zeitboard. It's a really neat interactive whiteboard. But you can just simply, let's pull up so you can see what this thing looks like. That's it. But you can get embed code, and so you can add in kind of like a collaborative class whiteboard directly into your text as you're kind of going along. I've done that with kind of like a collaborative brainstorming thing. So kind of as they're going through and learning about different things, we kind of kept building upon this drawing by embedding it multiple times. And all the students are working together on that same whiteboard. So these are just a few of the different tools that you can use for Appsmashing your InsertLearning lessons to boost your students' engagement as well as their literacy. There are a whole lot more that are out there, so go make sure you check them out on the InsertLearning dashboard under the resources section, and let us know what kind of lessons you create, which ones are your favorite, and if you find any apps that aren't listed in there, send us a message because we would love to be able to add that in there and give you credit. So thank you, everybody, for joining in for the second installment of the teacher chat of Appsmashing. What was next week going to be? I got to look up next week's, but I'm going to be pretty excited. We're going to have a new one each week. I'll be going back to, oh, no, it's fake news. That's right, because we're going to be broadcasting live from the Online News Association conference in Washington, D.C. It's going to be a wild week next week, so I'm really excited to find out what kind of things we're going to be able to share with everybody. But there's going to be a lot of things to be talking about when it comes to fake news and helping students really be able to navigate on the internet and identify information and validate and all that good stuff. All right. Thanks, everybody.